Hello, everyone. We're going to give people a couple of minutes while they enter the meeting here. But welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you who are exceptionally on time and early birds, cheers and 5 stars for you. What we're going to do while we give people just a couple minutes, because sometimes Zoom is funny for people, I would love to know where you're joining from and what's something that you accomplished for your business in the last month that you're really, really proud of. So, tell us in the chat, where are you
Ooh,
joining from and what have you accomplished for your business in the last month that you're super proud of? We would love to hear and kick this meeting off on a really positive note. And thanks again for joining early while we give folks just one more minute.
I'm impressed with all of
Any
you who are on
takers?
time.
I
So,
know, it's amazing. It's
so
amazing.
good.
No judgment if you're coming in at 10:01. That's
I'm
okay.
judging you heavily
We're
right
gonna
now. You're 60
we're
seconds late.
Yeah, yeah. No takers for the chat. All right, where is everyone joining from today? Please share in the chat with us. We want this to be a purposefully interactive meeting, and our guest Elizabeth is incredible. So please, please, yay, Wisconsin! Hey, Sarah, how are you doing? Awesome. In Missouri, so many places. I love seeing this. This is really cool. If you just joined, we're sharing where we're joining from. And if you want to share in the chat as we kick the meeting off, something that you did in your business in the last month that you're incredibly proud of, something that you accomplished, we want to start this off on a positive note. There's so much that's going on in the world and so much that AI is doing for our businesses. It's really cool. So we're going to give people just one more minute to join in. And thanks for from Roseburg, Oregon, and the Bahamas. All right, Paulette. We're coming to you next. In Canada, our neighbors to the north. MDG, you're probably the nicest person in the meeting since you're Canadian. All right. Excellent. Great. We got someone from Lincoln, Nebraska. All right, we got a couple more folks. We are going to kick things off. So it is 2 minutes after the hour. Thank you so much for joining us for this live learning event. We have so much to share with you. Our guest, Elizabeth, is amazing. And the goals of this meeting is to really help educate wedding businesses with their marketing. So before we dive into Elizabeth's presentation, though, I do want to share a note from myself and my company, the I Do Society, as the host. So if you would bear with me, I'm going to share just 2 slides about who the I Do Society is and why we do these events. So I'm going to share my screen and over here. Do, 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 do. Awesome. So just a quick note from me as the host before we dive into Elizabeth's presentation. The I Do Society is focused on paid advertising for businesses in the wedding industry. That's our single core mission. Ad campaigns for wedding businesses to generate quality leads for your wedding business every single day. Now, we know that we live in an AI world and anyone can run ads. Anyone can create an ad using Meta or Google or whatever. But knowing what actually works is our specialty. We manage over $30 million a year in wedding ads for businesses across the world, across the country and around the world. And that gives our clients an unfair advantage in that we know we have access to more conversion data than anyone else, even AI. Quick note about what that means. If you're using a local agency, if you're using a software company or a web development company that adds on paid advertising as an add-on to their service, but it's not their specific focus, they don't have the conversion data that we have from $30 million in ad campaigns for venues and bridal and photographers and DJs. So we know what works. And we actually have better data than AI. And here's what I mean by that is that you can create ads in ChatGPT and Claude and things like that. But those platforms actually scrape the web and see what ads are running, but they don't have access to individual advertising accounts conversion data because that's private. Claude can't access conversion data. ChatGPT can't access 100 different wedding venues conversion data. We do have that information. So we use that to help our clients get an unfair advantage with paid advertising and help them do great things with paid ads to generate quality leads for their business every single day. Some quick testimonials from people that we work with. Leah from Historic Ashland generated $300,000 for her business using Google Ads alone in the first 6 months of working together. And Taylor from Superstition Manor, he's another venue owner. He actually got better quality leads from his ad campaigns and it increased his close ratio, which put more money in his pocket. There's 3 different ways that we help people. We can do it for you, we can teach you how to do it, or we can have a one-on-one strategy session where you can book time with myself to look into your ad campaigns. You can learn more at theiDoSociety.com. So we would love to help you with your ads, but the main reason why we do these events is because advertising doesn't live in a silo, and you can't just run ad campaigns without having with your other marketing in place and doing really well with that. So that's why we have folks like Elizabeth join us. And Elizabeth is incredible. She's a dancer, she's a mom, she's a social media maven, she's all the things. And what I'd like to do is have Elizabeth share her content with us, and she's going to spend about 30 minutes doing that. If you have questions about what Elizabeth shares, I'd love for you to drop that into the chat because we're going to have a really interactive Q&A session at the end of Elizabeth's presentation. So, Elizabeth, rather than screw up introducing you, I would love for you just to share who you are, what you're passionate about, and how you got to where you are, and then dive right into your presentation. And please give us all the wisdom.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Mark and the I Do Society for having me. I am so honored to be here. I'm such a huge fan of Mark and his company. I stand behind it. I'm definitely known in the social media marketing world for organic marketing, but there's absolutely a place and time for paid ads. And if I was a wedding pro wanting to do that, I would 100% invest in Mark and his company. So definitely check them out. And thank you so much for having me. I'm going to intro myself in my presentation, and I know I have limited time, and I want to make sure that I teach you, my beloved viewer that is here with me live, exactly how to hook your ideal dreamboat wedding client on Instagram. I hope you are so pumped. And Mark already said it, but as I go through and I teach these concepts, I do move pretty quickly. I'm ADHD entrepreneur. I listen to my podcast at 1.5, maybe even 2x speed. I'm a little bit crazy in that way. But I want you to know that if I say something and you're confused or you have questions, drop them in the chat right away so you don't forget, and we'll make sure that we have lots of time for hot seat coaching and Q&A at the end, because I want to pour into you, your time, your energy, your resources. All of that is so valuable, and I'm so grateful that you are taking the time to hang out with me and Mark and Krista here today. So thank you so much for being here. So I am an Instagram marketing strategist and business growth mentor for small business owners, creative entrepreneurs, and wedding professionals. And I have had a very windy journey into being an Instagram marketing strategist. So before Instagram, I was a professional dancer. Oh my gosh, look at those feathers or sequins or all of that. I had the honor of going to college in New York City, studying dance, getting a bachelor of arts in dance. I was able to travel all over the world, in Paris, India, France, performing, living my dharma. Life is a stage. I absolutely loved it. I never in a million years thought I would find myself in the wedding industry, speaking about marketing. But my love for dance led me to open up my first business, which is a brick and mortar dance studio here in Denver, Colorado. If you are from Denver or you love Denver, hit me up in the chat. I love Denver. I love my town. But so 16 years ago, I opened up a brick and mortar dance studio called Wedding Dance Coach. And my passion for dance really led me to this business. So this is little baby Elizabeth, entrepreneur, 16 years ago. No idea what the heck she's doing, but she is going to build it brick by brick. And I know you can relate if you are here in this room and you're a small business owner. So for the first 10 years of growing my wedding business, I focused on traditional methods of search engine optimization, making sure my website is really well positioned, collecting lots of reviews from happy wedding couples. That was a huge part of our strategy. And of course, word of mouth referrals. And that got us to our first 6 figures. But I honestly did not, I felt in my gut, I was just scratching the surface of what was possible for my company. And this was in about 2020 when we were all locked in our homes. It was COVID, TikTok was blowing up, and Instagram decided to launch Reels at the end of 2020. And so I was studying this. I was in an audio only app called Clubhouse. If you know, you know, it was an audio only app that you would go in and you would have access to experts, just like you're here today, investing in yourself. I was the same way. I was listening to experts. I was like, okay, social media marketing, what is it? How can I use short form video to grow my business? And I just poured into myself and I decided, okay, I'm going for it. I'm going to post on Instagram like every day. I'm going to figure this out. And this is honestly what I thought it would be like. I post and it's fun. It's easy. I'm going viral. I'm famous. Look, mom, I made it. That was not my reality. This was more my reality. And mostly that little angry emoji that says this sucks and maybe I should give up. That's 100% what I faced. And so really for the next year, I committed to showing up consistently. I posted even when it wasn't perfect, which I want to really highlight that whenever I speak to wedding professionals, because y'all, we tend to be perfectionists. Okay. We clutch our pearls. We get very precious about our content. And I had to let that go. I had to post and test and experiment. And I really focused on leveraging Reels because I wanted to reach a new audience and really be discovered. And I used a simple strategy to convert followers to paying clients. And I posted every day for a year. And I wish I told you, oh, I immediately grew. I didn't, but I had to keep going. And I'm so glad I did, because 12 months later, these were my results. I grew my combined company following, so my wedding dance brand and my personal brand, Elizabeth Marbury, here down at the bottom of the screen if you want to connect with me on Instagram. I grew, within the next 12 months, I grew my combined social following to over 120,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok. I packed my email list with over 5,000 hot prospects. Those are engaged couples getting married in the next 12 months. I launched a virtual studio practically overnight because we were getting all of this attention from all over the world due to our social media growth. And this is the best part, because we all know followers do not pay the bills. I increased my revenue by a whopping 84% in 12 months. Woo! And I was so pumped and I was hooked. And this is when I started to decide I am going to help other small business owners and wedding professionals grow their business. And I'm dedicated to shortcutting their learning curve. So I have so much goodness in store for you today, and I only have a limited time. So Mark was generous enough to allow me to share this free guide with all of you. It is my free Instagram visibility jumpstart kit. And this is a resource that I could easily charge for, but I really want I want to make sure that your Instagram is well positioned, that you're clear on really the components of a content strategy. And in this guide, I am able to go into DM automation and how I use that to drive leads and sales with my content. So I'm going to have this up at the end, but I know sometimes at the end, you're like, okay, my brain is exploding now. So I wanted you to grab that here. So make sure you scan that, and I'm going to move the slide in 3, 2, 1. And what I want to tell you is that if I can do it, you can do it too, right? Like, it's not like I was born understanding Instagram. I didn't wake up and say, I'm just so good at social media marketing. Okay. It was a skill that I decided to learn and invest in, and it absolutely paid off for me. So I want you to comment in the chat now. And by the way, if you are multitasking right now, I see you, I know you're busy. Make sure you're turning off all notifications so you can really just be present. Give yourself the gift of presence for, give me like 25 minutes of your time and energy. Okay. Because I have a lot to share. You're going to take what you need, leave what you don't, but really be present with me. And I want you to comment now in the chat and tell me if you relate to this. Do you ever feel like you are feeding a content monster and it's never enough? I know I have absolutely felt that. And tell me in the chat if that's relatable, or is it just me that feels that way at times? By the way, I run 2 businesses. I have 2 small kids. Girlfriend is surviving and thriving all at once. Okay. So you are not, I see the chat's blowing up. Yes. All right. You're in the right room. You're not crazy. Instagram can feel absolutely confusing. Okay. And what I want to tell you about what I'm going to share with you today is that full transparency, there is no one right way to grow on Instagram. Okay. If you ever listen to a coach, a mentor, an Instagram strategist that says this is the only right way, you need to run, because I've been in this industry long enough to know that there's lots of different ways to leverage this platform. And the most important thing is that you take in what feels aligned for you, your mission, your values, your capacity, and just trust that you are going to hear exactly what you need to hear today. And anything that I share that you're like, no, that is not me, it's fine. Leave it behind. Okay. There's more than one way to grow on Instagram. What I'm teaching you today is what has worked for me, both of my brands, and all of the small business owners and wedding professionals that I've mentored over the years. Okay. So let's start with what not to do. So many wedding pros are still using Instagram like it's 2018. Okay. And what do I mean by that? You're posting a photo of a couple. You're tagging the vendors. I hope as often as you can, you're tagging vendors, because that, of course, will help you reach more people. And you're saying congrats, like, congrats, Sally and Mike, on your wedding. It was so incredible doing your floral arrangement. Like, I loved what you did, blah, blah, blah. And then you're hoping for inquiries, right? If you are doing that, first of all, no judgment. I used to do that too. So the only reason I can highlight these mistakes for you is I have made all of them myself. Okay. But what I want you to know is, if you are still doing that, if that is like 80% of your strategy, you're leveraging Instagram at 10% of what it can do for your business. Okay. Instagram is no longer just a portfolio of past work. Okay. It is a visibility engine that has 3 powerful jobs. And I teach this in the visual of the trust loop. And what's really, really exciting about Reels, or even carousel posts, which is like multiple images, is that you can build this trust loop with your content. So if you're properly positioning your content, it will help you to get seen by couples who don't know that you exist. It will help to build trust with those who follow you or who are kind of stalking your feed, but maybe haven't pulled the trigger to hire you. And your Instagram content can get you actually booked. Okay. That is the trust loop. And your content can do all 3 of those things. Now, we're going to focus today mostly on that first step of getting seen, because the truth is, couples cannot book you if they don't know that you exist, right? And marketing 101 is, you want to show up where your ideal dreamboat clients are hanging out. And for us in the wedding industry, that is Instagram. And I have some stats to back it up, because I love data. Yes, I'm a dancer, but math was my favorite subject, y'all. So get ready for it. Now, when I teach these presentations, one of the number one things people ask me is like, okay, I want to do this, but like, what content should I post? What should I focus on? I have limited capacity. I'm doing weddings. I'm running my business. I'm doing payroll. I'm doing all these things. What should I focus on? Okay. My answer to you is Reels, these short form vertical videos. And here is why. First of all, remember when I said you got to hang out on Instagram? You got to hang out where your ideal clients are hanging out. Instagram has over 3 billion monthly active users every month. Okay, so let's just start with that, 3 billion. I can't even wrap my brain around that number. But even more vital to our industry, the wedding industry, 61.6% of Instagram users are ages 18 to 34. Okay. So while we certainly have clients that are older than 34 that come into our dance studio and want to learn their first dance. So not to be ageist, but most of our clients are probably within that realm. That is a good sign, right? That is where you want your marketing energy and resources to go. The second part of this is that Instagram Reels generate 3 times the average reach of a single image post. And this is a really interesting stat, because I know you all have heard that our attention spans have gotten shorter and shorter over time, which is true. And people are much more used to consuming short form video now on Instagram. So this is a very new metric. I actually refreshed all of this just for you guys to bring the latest data, okay? Because I like to be a little bit extra for you, okay? The average reel watch time has more than doubled year over year. So it's now 8.5 seconds. It used to be 4 seconds. Okay. So some of you are like, wait, what? It's only 8 seconds. And some of you have been doing this a while are like, that's amazing. Right. So people are consuming reels and they get much more reach, meaning they are still the number one type of post that is going to get you discovered by people who don't know that your brand exists. Now, if you want great reels, you have to prioritize capturing video content. I see this a lot when I go to speak at different wedding events around the country. I was just at the WIPA National Conference last week. A lot of wedding pros are still in that mindset of let's capture a photo, let's get a photo. And I'm not dogging of photographers. I'm not dogging. There is absolutely a place for photos. And photos are fantastic, by the way, for Instagram carousels. Those are definitely working really well on Instagram right now. But most of us need to really understand how to weave capturing video content into our daily lives, okay? Into our events, into the behind the scenes. And so that's step one, prioritize capturing video content. Now, the truth is, your reel, so you're like, Elizabeth, I did it. I posted the reel. Your reel will only be seen if you're capturing attention within those first 2 seconds. So yes, people are watching the reels longer, but guess what? You have to earn their attention. I'm going to say that again. You have to earn their attention. Think about when you sit down and watch Netflix at night with your partner or a friend. Netflix is trying to earn your attention too, isn't it? Right? That is how it is when you consume any type of content. And so that's the lens with which you need to approach your social media marketing is how do I capture attention? And that's what we're going to dig into today. How do you stop the scroll? So we're going to start super high level. When you are scrolling on Instagram, there are what I like to call the 3 E's of content that converts. And these E's are everywhere on Instagram. So if you're scrolling and you're seeing what you like as a consumer, they fall into one or all 3 of these buckets. Number 1, educational content, right? Teach me something new, solve a problem for me, answer a frequently asked question. 2, emotional content, tap into feelings, help me to feel motivated, inspired, seen, okay? Or entertainment. And entertainment is still king and queen on Instagram. And that is that really relatable content, or it's the content that makes me laugh and share it with my partner or tag a bride to be that I know that's getting married, right? Like, it's like, oh my gosh, girl, they see us here in this video. And it's so funny, right? So entertaining. We're going to dig deeper into those buckets. But what I want to really highlight is when you're creating short form videos, you want to really focus a lot of time and energy into refining your hook, right? Your hook is how you are going to capture attention and stop the scroll. So I don't know if you've ever watched someone scroll on Instagram. People go real quick. I watched my husband do it as like target market research. And I'm just like, dude is scrolling so fast. Holy cow. Like, how is he even seeing anything on the screen? So a hook is simply how you're capturing that attention. Now, what should you not do in 2026 and beyond? General hooks, meaning general messaging words on the screen, are out. Specific hooks are in. And I'm going to give you lots of examples so you really understand this. So a dead hook, and by the way, this worked 2, 3, 4 years ago. Okay. I used to use general hooks like this all the time and they worked. They don't work anymore. Wedding recessional music ideas. That's a dead hook. It's way too general. I can just go put that in ChatGPT, right? This hook, our bride requested married life from Up for her recessional and it came out perfectly. And then they're showing a video of this string quartet playing this song at a wedding. Do you see how much more specific that is? You can't copy that. I can't ChatGPT that, right? Very specific, painting a very specific picture, calling out a very specific identifier here in this hook, a bride. Other identifiers here, the movie Up. If you know, you know, it's one of my favorite movies. Another dead hook, top 4 wedding ceremony tips. I mean, it's kind of boring, right? Like it's kind of boring and it's not going to capture my attention and it certainly is not going to stand out on the feed. Something more specific would be four things I want to make sure my groomsmen know for the wedding ceremony. So, what did I do there? Now I'm calling out a much more specific scenario than just wedding ceremony. I'm saying groomsmen. So now I'm picturing a certain type of person, right? And I want to make sure they know these four things for the wedding ceremony. Now, what did that do? It opened up a curiosity loop in my brain. Now I want to see like what you're going to say or share down in the caption below. Okay. So I'm going to teach you how to do this so you can write better killer hooks for your content. Are you still with me? Are you excited? Drop down in the chat. Bum, 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 bum. Are you with me? Are you excited? Okay. I know I get very jazzed. I get very jazzed. Okay. So there are two ways that I like to write my hooks and teach my clients to do that. Number one is you can write them as if you are the expert, like in your expert voice from a place of authority. The other way you can write your hooks, and this is kind of my secret weapon, you guys, is writing my hook as if I am my client in my client's voice. When you do it that way, all of a sudden your content becomes so much more relatable. And I'm going to give you some examples of what that looks like. So remember the 3 E's of the viral content? Remember the 3 E's? We are going to write down hooks for each bucket so you can kind of wrap your brain around how I do this and how I approach this. So let's do education first. Now I'm going to give you guys this little formula and you can take it, copy it, run with it, go post it today. Okay. Like go do it, go create. Okay. So here's a formula that can work really well if you're really specific. I've done X. Here's the valuable insight. So why does that work? It builds credibility, right? And it shows your expertise through your experience. So this would be written as the expert voice. Okay, so I have a couple examples here. So let's say you're a wedding photographer. I've shot 200 plus weddings. Here's the one photo every couple wishes they had but never asked for. What? Now I'm curious. Wait, what is the photo? Like, wouldn't you just be like, oh, now I have to know what that photo is? Do you see how I earned that attention through a specific number, 200? And it's clear what I do. It also is positioning you as the expert in place of authority. So now I want to listen to you, right? Going to give you one more example. After 5 years as a wedding florist, here's the budgeting secret I share with every couple. Okay, so this is a really fantastic formula. If you haven't already, take a screenshot so you can go and create your own version of this today. Another example is entertainment hooks, right? An entertaining style of content. So the formula is when you blank and this unexpected thing happened, or when, and then you share a relatable moment. And I know it's a little tricky when my brain sees these formulas, I'm like, oh man, I don't get it. Don't worry. With all of these hooks, I have examples. Okay. So why this formula works though, is it creates that relatability. Like you see me. Remember, we are still very much in a loneliness epidemic. When we go on to Instagram or social media, we want to connect. We want to feel less alone. We want to feel seen. Okay. And when I feel like you see me and you relate to me, what does that do? It builds trust. And what do people do? They buy from people they know, like, and trust. So let's get into some examples of what this looks like. When you realize your small, intimate wedding guest list is now at 175 people, right? So you're trying to make people kind of be like, oh my gosh, that was us. That was us. Oh. Or when you say, I want something simple, and then fall in love with this flower arch. And how I would use that hook, by the way, if you're wondering like, wait, how is she using this? I would take that text on the screen and I would put it on a 7-second video of a gorgeous floral arch that would be very expensive, right? Or very elaborate. And I would smack that hook on the screen with this 5 to 7 second video. And then in the caption, I would expand on that. And I would also say, and this is why we're so passionate about what we do. And I would invite them into the next step with my company. Okay. So that's how I'm envisioning these hooks. The other thing you can do with these hooks is those yapping direct to camera videos are working really well. So you can do that in your Instagram story or in your reels. And you could say, you know, like you could literally start holding the mic and be like, you know, when you realize you've spent more time on seating charts than you have with your fiance this month, who can relate? That was, you know, I was just on a phone call with a client and they were telling me that. And the truth is, wedding planning is stressful. And I'm here to, like, do you guys see how I took that hook and I could turn that into a direct to camera script? So you can run with these hooks however you want. Now, the last example I have for you in the emotional bucket, right, is here's the formula, you're a specific identifier. So who are you talking to? Who specific pain point or struggle? I need to tell you something. Now, why does this work? We need to make sure that we're putting in specific identifiers into our hooks. So what do I mean by that? Who are you speaking to? So is it a couple to be? Is it grooms? Is it bride to be? Like, who are you speaking to? Mother of the bride? Are you speaking to a Denver engaged couple? Are you like, we need to weave in really key terms that's going to stop our ideal client, right? Because my ideal client at Wedding Dance Coach in Denver is not the same person as your ideal client who's a florist in Cincinnati, of course, right? But when I do these trainings, people are like, well, my ideal client's like an engaged couple. No, you have to get so much more specific as to who you're talking to. And this is where I get really excited, you guys, because when you're growing a business, you want to work with more of the people you like working with, the people who pay your fee and don't blink an eye, right? Like, so your marketing can work to attract and magnetize those people to your business when it's positioned correctly. The other reason why this hook works so well is it validates their pain and it builds that emotional connection and trust. And I already said, what happens when people trust you? They buy from you, right? So here's some examples of how I use this hook. If you're getting married in 2026, and by the way, these are all general examples. I would make them if I was working with you in a private Instagram audit. We would get even more specific with these hooks, but these are to really showcase how this works, okay? So if you're getting married in 2026 and you feel like you have to please everyone except yourself, I need to tell you something. What does that hook do? It's like, wow, Elizabeth sees me. Like, yeah, I do feel like I have to please everyone. I mean, I got married 16 years ago and I still remember that feeling of trying to please my mother-in-law. It was so hard. It was so stressful. So imagine as a wedding vendor, you're like, I see you. I remember, or I know what it's like. And I got to tell you something, right? Even if that hook has nothing to do with here's why you should have this photography package and here's why you need this wedding planning. No, we're just being human to human, okay? And that's what I really want to highlight here is you get to be a human. Instagram is not this like, you know, constant promotional platform. When you design your content in this way to say, hey, human to human, it's going to perform well, okay? And it's going to reach your ideal people. Now, you might be wondering, okay, these formulas are great. How the heck do I do this every day, every week in my strategy? And I want to teach you my favorite AI hook hack because AI is here to stay and it can absolutely be a supportive thought partner. You have to be the thought leader. But my opinion, and I know this is, I don't know if this is okay to say, but I'm going to say it. My opinion is that AI is not going to replace wedding professionals. Absolutely not. But you may be replaced by someone who understands how to leverage these tools in growing their business. Okay. So if you are new to AI, just open your mind, take a deep breath. I understand that there's lots of things to be concerned about AI, and that's a whole nother conversation. but we have it at our fingertips. And using this AI hook hack I'm going to teach you is going to save you hours every week. Are you pumped? Who wants to learn my favorite AI hook hack? Comment below and say, I want to learn it. Teach me. Teach me your ways. Teach me your ways. I see the chat. I see the chat is blowing up. I love it. Thank you guys for commenting. I appreciate that. I always want to feel like you're with me. So I appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to go through this step by step, and this is going to change your life. I'm so dramatic. Okay, so here's exactly what I do. When it comes to Instagram marketing and hooks that work effectively, you do not need to sit down and stare at a blank screen or a blank notes in your app, okay? You can go on Instagram right now or TikTok right now, search up in your category or just totally outside your category, you guys. Sometimes I get my best hooks outside of the wedding industry and I'm like, ooh, that went viral for them. How do I reverse engineer this viral hook for my specific business? Success leaves crumbs. So you do not need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to understand how to see what's already working and reinvent it for yourself and your business and your ideal client. And it's not copying, it's reverse engineering what already works, okay? So step one, I want you to collect winning hooks. And what I do is when I scroll on Instagram, I am scrolling for research. I'm seeing what is popping off. And when I see something that's popping off that captured my attention, so that's like the step one, human psychology, what's capturing my attention? And I see that it has lots of engagement, lots of comments, lots of shares, I will save it. Okay. And you can create little folders in Instagram. I don't know if you know this. You can create a folder in Instagram that's like, hook ideas or something like that. And so you're saving. Okay. And then when you actually sit down to work and like batch create, okay. So let's say you schedule 3 or 4 reels in a week and you sit down and you're like, I'm going to set a timer. I have 1 hour. I'm going to go do this. Now you can go to that saved folder that you have and kind of see which ones you want to work on and reverse engineer. So that's step one, save. Once you find a hook you like, so this was a hook I found in our industry and it said, if I had to redo my wedding, these 4 things would be absolute non-negotiables. I took a screenshot of that hook. The next step, and you can, by the way, you can skip this step, but if you're like me where you want to really understand why it's working and why it went viral, you can ask AI to analyze the psychology. So why is this hook effective? What emotional triggers were being used? And what is the hook formula? What is the formula here? So that way you can understand why this worked, right? Every time you do this, you become a savvier marketer of your business and a better communicator, okay? Now, this was the output I got. This hook works because it combines hindsight-based authority. I've already been through this. Fear of regret, don't make the mistakes I made. Specificity, 4 things. So not just a general thing, 4 things. And strong conviction. These are non-negotiables. So what does it do? It creates curiosity and that irresistible need to know what made the list. Okay. So now you understand why this hook worked. Okay. Now step 3, I want you to reverse engineer it for my business. Now, for this prompt to work, you have to train the AI on your brand. I just did a whole workshop on this a few weeks ago, how to build your AI thought partner. If you are needing support with that, you can DM me and I can share more about that. But for the AI to support you, it has to have total context as to who you are, your business, your ideal client, your brand voice, how you write, your mission, all the things, right? Remember, you're the AI thought leader. It is your AI thought partner. So I'm assuming that you've already done that. Okay. In this step, yes. So knowing my target audience of business, create 10 hook variations using this exact same formula. Now, this hook itself is so easy. Like I wouldn't need to do that with this hook because it's like the easiest hook to recreate, but that's what I do when it's like kind of a more nuanced hook. Okay. Now I took this viral hook and I made it I changed a couple words. So it worked for my business. So I said, if I had to redo my first dance, these are 4 things that would be absolute non-negotiables. I posted it, 246,000 views. Okay. Now I was super thrilled with that. lots of followers, engaged couples following along, all of that. And then here's step two. When you find a hook that does well, repurpose it again. So just a few, like a month ago, I repurposed that same hook. And I said, if I had to redo my first dance, these are 4 things that would be non-negotiables. I was testing out a different video, a little bit different font. You can see it didn't do as well, 22,000 views. I'm still, I'm not mad about that. It took like 0 brain power. I literally copied and pasted the exact same caption, hashtags, and I just short video, slap that hook on there, and then bam. So when you're thinking about hiring someone like Mark or a paid ads agency, right? You want to think about putting money behind content that is already proven to work organically, not just for views, but to attract people into your funnel. Okay. So it's one thing to get followers and views. It's another thing to have people stepping into the next step with your company. And that's where I'm going to take us next as we start to wrap it up. Really quickly, I do want to highlight that having text on the screen like this, see the text here, the text hook, that's important. So it gives people context as to why they want to watch this video, right? Why an engaged couple who doesn't care about you, doesn't know you, what's in it for them, right? This is what's in it for them. Now they're learning from you. Now they're going to follow you. You're giving them a reason to stick around, right? And text isn't the only way to stop the scroll. You can stop the scroll through quick movement of the camera. So when I film, I might like move my camera in, right? Or play with movement of my actual camera, even if I'm just sitting right here. Or if you're, let's say you're doing a pan of like a beautiful wedding venue, right? Some movement or like a quick zoom in and out, right? Movement is a way to stop the scroll. Visual contrast, right? If you have a really exceptional wedding venue or floral arrangement or whatever, like, oh my gosh, just the visual can absolutely be a hook if it's really compelling, right? And then the last piece is pacing. So pacing is like how you're editing your video. And this is clutch, you guys. This is clutch because I never feel stressed out about video content because I could take the most boring video of like, oh, look, this couple is just like dancing in our studio. And like, would I just post it straight up? No. What I do is I watch that video and I'm like, okay, that turn was cool. We'll keep those 2 seconds. And then, oh, cut here to this lift. That was the next 2 seconds, right? So the quick edits every 2 seconds, that will help to retain the viewer as well. So there's lots of different ways to capture and hook your audience. So here's your little checklist to kind of close out our time together. Before you post, I want you to ask yourself, is this specific enough for my ideal wedding couple? Did this capture attention in those first 2 seconds? Because if it didn't, if you didn't earn that attention, all of your content is going to fall flat and going to be a waste of your time. Now, I do want to highlight one thing. Remember how I said I had to post a reel every day for a year before I grew? So don't get all down on yourself. When you do this, it's going to be bad. You're going to suck at it. Who cares? Moving on. Remember how I said don't stick with that perfectionist energy? That is key, you guys. That is key. So it's not like, oh, I get on this emotional roller coaster every time I lose attention in those first 2 seconds. Y'all, this is a skill that you can learn. And once you learn this, you use it everywhere. You use it TikTok. I use it on LinkedIn. I use it on Facebook. I use it on YouTube Shorts. This is a skill that once you learn, it is so incredible. So remember, keep going. But notice, did it capture attention in those first 2 seconds? And does it invite action? And this is the last piece that is so important when you're thinking about, okay, Elizabeth, I don't want to just post for followers. I don't want to just post for views, although let's be honest, a lot of us want more followers, right? We're just like, my followers don't really represent how epic my brand is. I was just on a call yesterday with a wedding planner who said, I have 25 weddings this year, but my Instagram is like, doesn't reflect how freaking awesome I am. Okay. So there's lots of different reasons why you want to grow on Instagram. But I'm assuming, because this is how it works with my clients, and I know with Mark too, we want to help you get leads and sales, right? We want to help you make that money, honey. So you got to invite action with your content. Now, what do I mean? This is the most often forgotten piece of Instagram strategy, and it's this. If you only post attraction content, you're going to entertain people, but you're never going to drive conversions. You're never going to actually drive leads and sales. If you only post promotional content, so if I go to your feed and you have all these Canva graphics and everything looks like an ad, and I know that it's an ad and it feels really salesy, and that's like 80% of your strategy, then I'm out, right? So it's all about balance. It's all about finding that sweet spot behind you have to entertain, invoke emotion, educate to attract and bring those people in, and make sure you do not forget to tell them how they can work with you. Okay. So, what do I mean by invite action? What is your call to action? So, I want you to define your next step. And this is part of the customer journey, right? So, what do you want me to do? Like, you put in all this work, you're like, okay, Elizabeth, I did it. I love this video. I got this hook. I got my captions. I got my 5 hashtags. Like, I'm pumped. Let's go. And then at the bottom of your caption, for example, like, invite me into your sales funnel. So you will see for Wedding Dance Coach, we say, comment Denver below and we'll DM you the link to check out our wedding dance lesson packages. Do I do that every single post? I don't. But if I never do it or I never invite them in, they're not gonna just do it, right? Like, some people will. They'll go to the link in your bio and all those things, right? But you got to, if you're putting in this effort, tell me what to do. And remember, it doesn't always have to be a promotional CTA like that. It could be share this with your fiance to get them on board. That is a call to action, right? That is a call to action. Does this resonate with you? Are we off? Like, does this resonate, right? Part of your job is I want you to test and experiment and find some pieces of organic content that are working really well for you. And then you can put that money behind it. But really testing it organically is awesome. And I know Mark's aligned with me. And when you do these strategies, and I know Mark can support you through this too, your ads are going to perform so much better, because it's like having this fire and then you pour the gasoline on the fire, right? And it blows up. So the final takeaways, because I want to make sure we move into Q&A now, is I shared a lot with you today. Success does not go to the smartest person in this Zoom room. That's probably not me, right? It goes to the person who is willing to implement and take action and take small action steps every day, every week. I always say those like 5% upgrades. So maybe if you're not posting any reels, you're going to walk away and say, I'm going to commit to posting 1 reel a week for the next 4 weeks. Okay. I want you to think about what you can do to up-level yourself, because remember, success belongs to implementers. And lastly, you learn by doing. So you are here consuming, listening. Yes, fabulous. You will only really learn by going and creating and posting and cringing. One of my clients said, I cried in the bathroom after I did the thing you told me to do. I'm like, girl, me too. It's fine. Let's keep going, right? You learn by doing, go create. Before we move into Q&A, I just want to share with you how we can stay connected. Number one, I would be so grateful if you would connect with me on Instagram. I show up there every day, every week, pouring into my community. I'm at Elizabeth Marbury. If you're a podcast listener, I have a top-rated Instagram marketing podcast called Strut It, bold visibility through Instagram marketing. I also bring on 6, 7, 8-figure guests to share what they have learned about the industry, what to do, what not to do. My website. And then don't forget to grab that free Instagram visibility jumpstart kit. There's so much I wasn't able to cover today, and I want to make sure that your bio is perfectly positioned. So when you do have a reel pop off, your account can work for you. I just want to say thank you, Mark, so much for the time and energy. And I would love to move into Q&A.
Let's do it. We have some great questions in the chat already. So we're going to dive right in. First, Brittany had a question earlier on. How do we get Instagram to push our reels to non-followers?
Oh, you don't need to worry about that. So the algorithm has shifted. So in past Instagram land, it really mattered like how many followers you had, because essentially the idea was you would post your content and your people who are following you would see it, right? Now, if you guys scroll on Instagram, you know this. How often do you actually see accounts that you follow? And how often are you getting fed content because you have been consuming it? So, Instagram has shifted to a recommendations based algorithm. And that is fantastic news for us small business owners. And it's fantastic news in terms of leveling the playing field of followers. And that's why it's like, yeah, do I want you to grow your following? Do I want you to completely focus on that metric all the time? Absolutely not, because you can actually reach a lot of your dreamboat couples without having a huge followership. And so how the algorithm works is, let's say I am in Denver, I just got engaged and I'm so pumped and amped, and now I'm going to go on Instagram and search up like bridal shops near me, which by the way, people are using Instagram just like they use Google. They're going in and searching, which is why it's so imperative that you are optimizing your content for search engine optimization and all of that. But I'm typing in and, you know, whatever it is. Or even if I don't type in, what do I do when I get engaged? I go on my Instagram and I say, "Oh my gosh, you guys, I just got engaged." Okay, so now the algorithm knows, oh, Elizabeth is engaged, right? So let's start showing her wedding content. So let's say I start binging on floral content, because that's my problem in my wedding that I'm trying to solve right now. I'm trying to find the perfect florist. I'm starting to look at more floral videos, right? And now the algorithm is going to show me more of what I'm consuming. So that's why it's not that you're thinking, how do I get it to push out to people who don't already follow me? It already does. It already gets pushed out. And depending on how people engage with it, it will grow or not grow. And that's why what we did today is so important, is that if it's not a high quality piece of content that's bringing value and stopping the scroll and entertaining and visually is pleasing and all these different things, it's not, people aren't going to engage with it. And then the algorithm's going to say, okay, this piece of content isn't really resonating. We're not going to expand the reach. So it shows it to a small group. If those people like it, it shows it to a bigger group. If those people like it, it shows it to a bigger group. So that's why I focus on, I don't even think about how do I get it to be pushed out to, it already is. I hope that answers the question.
I love it. Is there a ratio? This is a different question. Thank you, Elizabeth. Is there a ratio of how many educational to emotional to entertainment reels or content we should create? Like, is it like a third, a third, a third, or is there any
Yeah.
specific number?
Oh my gosh, you guys are so, I love when people get so nitty gritty with this stuff. So I love this question. So I will tell all of you that when I design my every single piece of content I put out there, I am actually trying to activate all three boats at once. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will give you an example of this. And again, it depends on where you're at in your content creation journey. If you're a beginner, that might like throw you way off. Okay. But I'll give you an example. So I did a video that popped off. This was over a year ago, so it wasn't a recent video, but it went like mega viral. And I have it pinned on my profile, by the way, if you want to go see it. But I'm lip syncing to this like Will Ferrell thing where he's like, "Come and see how good I look," you know, and I'm like lip syncing to it. And then the hook on the screen is like, "When your last reel got 2 likes and 47 views, yet you keep showing up," or something like that. And I'm just like, so obviously that's very entertaining, right? It's supposed to be funny. I'm trying to make people laugh. It's also very relatable. But then I can also go into, what does that do? It draws the person who's creating content and they're frustrated that it's not working for them, which is my ideal client, by the way. So I wrote that hook as if I was my ideal client. Do you see how I did that? Then they click on my profile, they go over, they see, oh my gosh, she's an Instagram marketing strategist and coach. What? This is amazing. This is the exact problem I have. Now, so it all kind of connects together, and you can, so to answer the question, whether it's entertaining, emotional, educational, I think the thing I would think about is, how am I going to retain the viewer? And if it is educational, I would still think about, how am I entertaining in the education? So an example of that would be, I love telling wedding pros, hey, you guys probably get asked the same 6 to 8 questions every week by new couples, right? Like, I know we do. When should we start our dance lessons? What should we wear to our dance classes? How many lessons should, like, you all have that in your businesses where people are asking you questions. You can create one piece of content to answer each of those questions, but you can position the content, even though you're educating and answering a question, to still be entertaining. And how do you do that? The video you pick, the music you pick. The music you pick sets a vibe, right? So if I pick like a hip hop beat right there, it's a little bit more entertaining than you just being like, 3 ways to plan your wedding with less stress, right? So I hope that answers the question, but to be honest, there's no magic mix. I want you to ask yourself what feels most intuitive and easeful for me. I did interview a TikTok expert who grew massively on TikTok, and she said, Elizabeth, I can't entertain people. She's like, that is not my vibe. I'm just strict education. And she owns it and makes no apologies about that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be anyone else. You get to be you. And that's the coolest part, you guys. There's no magic formula. It's you being you and owning that. And then people will be attracted. And if, with a wedding business, I don't teach the lessons anymore. I have a team. So I'm not really the face of that brand. Our couples are the face of the brand, but there's still a vibe. There's still a vibe. If you go to my wedding dance coach Instagram, there's a vibe of who we're attracting, right? There's a vibe of our mission, our values. And I still get in my Instagram stories and I'm like, hey, I'm Elizabeth. I'm the CEO of Wedding Dance Coach. I just did a reel today where I introduced our team, which I don't usually do that kind of stuff. So anyway, you do what's most aligned for you as like a first step. And then as you find your footing, maybe you expand into other genres, but don't feel like, oh, I have to be like a clown or really funny. If you're not a funny person, it's okay. Like you don't have to not be you.
Sounds like authenticity. Authenticity is the word that comes to mind, is to wrap that with a neat bow. All right, we have a couple more questions. We're doing rapid fire, Elizabeth, because we only have 4 more minutes. So Sarah asked, during the entertainment hook slide that you were sharing, Sarah asked, does this work with the POV format as well? Point of view format as well?
Absolutely. I love the POV format. And you can always put like kind of POV in front of those hooks. Sometimes I play with putting that. Sometimes I play with removing it and seeing which one performs better. You can use trial reels to do that, where you're posting the exact same video, but 2 versions of the same hook. Only change one thing so you can A/B test your content, but absolutely, you can totally do POV.
Amazing. All right, Lynette is asking, how long should we make the reels? Is there a minimum and a maximum reel time that is best?
There's no magic number. I always tell people if you want to get more views and reach in the beginning, those shorter videos, like 5 to 7 second videos, B-roll with a trending audio and a killer hook on the screen and a caption, I would focus on that to kind of figure out what works. The direct to camera yapping talking head videos are doing really well on Instagram. They definitely take more time to edit, script, plan, all of that. So as small business owners, if you're struggling to even show up, I would never tell you start yapping to the camera, because that's going to be harder. So whatever is the lowest resistance. But if you are doing a direct to camera or a more of a longer storytelling kind of thing, obviously that's going to be 30 seconds, 60 seconds. You can do up to 3 minutes on Instagram. The longer it is, you're probably going to lose people, but your hottest prospects, if they know you, like you, they're going to hang out and watch. So it kind of depends on your goal, right? If you want to reach new people, I would keep it super short. If you want to nurture that current audience, because you're like, there's lots of people hanging out in my audience that probably want to hire me, maybe you yap at the camera for 60 seconds, and that's not going to be a growth piece of content. That's not going to get you a ton of followers, but it is going to nurture the relationship with your existing audience.
I love it. All right, so Vicky may have heard mixed messaging. She said, earlier you said words on the screen are out, but when do you use words on the screen? I don't think you said words on the screen are out. I think it was like yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me clarify that. So what I said is general hooks are out, meaning general messaging. Okay. Message hooks, messaging, meaning the words you put on the screen. So remember that slide where I said, this is dead, this is alive. So what is dead is the general messaging hooks. What is in is specific hooks. So 100% hooks, text on screen, still do it. Yeah.
Cool. All right, this is a question from me. How often can we repurpose things without it feeling icky or going wrong?
Oh my gosh, like all the time, because remember, most people never saw your content the first time around. So I would say, like, if you have I've had videos that popped off that I posted again 30 days later, 60 days later, 90 days later. You just have to make sure you don't post it too close because the algorithm could flag you as like, oh, no, you just posted this. But I would say after the 30-day mark, you can totally repurpose. And that's always my hack over summer for people who are busy or they have kids home. I'm like, just run your professional dashboard report, see your top performing posts from the last 6 months, and go and repost all of those.
I love that. We're like goldfish online. Like no one remembers anything. So
They do
that's
not
awesome.
remember. Like no one is watching your content like you are. I promise no one will notice. Like don't
Yeah.
even think about it. Just moving on, post it again. Go on with your bad self.
All right. Last question from Gisela. How long does it take to get monetized on Facebook? What's the best way to start making money there?
So I'm a part of different like monetization programs through all the different platforms. And I would say don't even be distracted by that because I get paid by these platforms every month for views and it's like $10, $5, $20. You guys, that's a distraction. Don't even think about that. First of all, how do you get into those programs? They're usually invite only. So I like there's been times where Meta's reached out to me and they're like, "We want to invite you into this paid program." And I'm like, "Yes, I will accept," or "No, I won't," depending on what they're asking me to do. What how you're going to make money and monetize on Instagram is selling your own products and services 100%. You will make so much more money selling what you own, your products and services.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. All right. So I dropped Elizabeth's website into the chat. We are done. We're 1 minute over. We had a great conversation. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. This was amazing.
Thank
This recording will live on the I Do Society's YouTube channel. If you want to rewatch it, please feel free to rewatch it there. Check out Elizabeth's website. It is in the chat right now. And thank you, everyone, so much for your interaction. And thank you, Elizabeth, so much for taking the time to share your knowledge. It is massively appreciated. I
thank
hope
you.
everyone has an amazing day. We'll see you soon.